All right, welcome back. Your favorite TV show of all time and mine is back on the air, or on, I guess, for me, Netflix, but back on the TV. They have season 6, episode 6 just came out this week. Well, I guess last week by the time you guys watch this. And I believe it's Sundays, but for me, I'm going to be able to watch it Monday. So today I was a little bit late because this week I was a little bit late because I completely forgot about it. Then I was like, oh, right, Riverdale is coming back. So, yeah, so I'm going to try and at least get it up because I don't really want to be like how it was like the last couple of times where we were just like, a month behind or 4 episodes behind. I want to kind of be like at least relatively on the ball. So I'm going to try and get it each new episode as they come out during the week to get that up at the same week. Obviously, I have to go and watch it and then write shit down and then talk about it. So obviously it's going to come out not on the same day it's actually out. But yeah, so and this time it's just me. But basically, I was the only guy that was really talking a lot anyway. I would talk for most of it anyway, so it isn't really going to change it all that much this time. Although, I don't know. I don't really do these ones where I just talk to myself a lot, like just solo episodes. But yeah, so episode 6 came out. And I'm actually really surprised when I first went to go watch the show that they didn't have like a recap. Usually they do, especially considering episode 5 was like, when was it? Like in November or December when it came out? So I'm really surprised that they didn't do like a, recap so far of the season and then go into this new season. But I guess technically this is actually the start of the new season since, episodes 1 to 5 was Riverdale. But yeah, I'll just go over the recap here for you guys if you don't remember. But Riverdale was episodes 1 to 5. It was technically an alternate dimension where like magic and all that shit was real. All the magic stuff was involved. A bunch of people died, right? Like Archie died. Who else? Like a bunch of other people. I think Tony died as well. Was it the devil came and Veronica sold what was his name, Reggie, to the devil? And then on the last episode of that 5-part event, I guess, Jughead saves the world, or both the universes were merging into one. Jughead saves the world by doing like the whole meta thing, and apparently he's like the narrator. He's the narrator, but he's also like the person that writes the plot now, or something like that. And oh yeah, I was gonna say as I was talking about the event, I almost 100% forgot that it was supposed to be like a 5-part event with Sabrina, but Sabrina was in it for like 15 minutes or whatever, and like that was it. And then they never used her again. I just remember that right now. But yeah, episode 6 starts basically right up where episode 5 left off, where like they went back into the main Riverdale universe and there's the bomb under the bed. Except this time, obviously, someone calls Betty on the phone, and then that's where it cuts off. It basically picks up right after that, right after the bomb goes off, where Jughead, I don't know, like even though this bomb was like a 1970s Batman villain bomb, like it's still so huge, it's almost like a missile strike hits the house, because like Jughead affects it and it like blows out the windows, and then somehow they survive, even though like they get the phone call, right? But then this episode just picks up where like Betty and Archie are being interrogated by like her mom, and Archie's like, I forgot what he is, uncle, right? And they're like, how did you survive that? How'd you get that? And then they were like, well, we ran downstairs and, I don't know, we got out of there somehow. But then, like, it goes to like the house that they're in. And, like, I guess because it was at Archie's house that it blew up in. And then the uncle's like, oh, you came downstairs, ran down here. And then where under all this rubble did you hide to survive? Because it goes to the house, and it's like, yeah, it's like I said, it's like this one bomb, this one tiny, like, it looks like a C4, like, it would maybe, like, damage a room, right? or like it would do damage. Like you'd probably die if you got hit by it, right? But like I said, it was like a 1970s Batman villain bomb, where it's just like this tiny thing, yet somehow it blows up like the entire upper floor, and then like all this debris and all this other stuff is also like on the downstairs floor. Like somehow like this one tiny bomb blew up that much, and then also like because I guess Jughead's living in like an outhouse suite right outside his house. Like the explosion also like managed to shatter the glass in his little house. So I don't know how that was all possible, but yeah, like I wrote one bomb did all that damage. And then as they're there like examining the place, you hear like dog whimpering, and like clearly this is like the next day, I believe, because like it's sunny and it's like during the day in this scene, but then like when the bomb goes off, it's at night, right, or whatever. So this is like the complete next day, like at least 8+ hours into the next day, and they didn't realize that like their dog, I guess, they had there that got like hit by the debris. They didn't realize it until they walked back in. They just happened to walk back in because they're just like because his uncle like wants to know how exactly he survived. And then he goes to Jughead. He's gonna write. Oh yeah, like the whole town. I don't know who's phoning the whole town, but like the whole town basically, like the word spreads around the whole town that there was a bomb in Archie's house that went off. And like, so like Archie and like that were gonna kill Archie and Betty in it, and the whole town is like, talking about it, or it's spreading around like wildfire, right? And then he goes to Jughead, and then Jughead's like, I gotta write about this story. That's like his immediate first thought, not like, oh, is Archie okay or is Betty okay? Should I go like talk to them? No, I gotta write about this. I gotta put this in the in the newspaper. Then it goes to like Kevin and Tony and Fang's storyline, and Kevin's like, I'm gonna be in Broadway, and then Tony and Fangs are there, and they're like, hey, we're back together, and we're dating now. And of course, like, because it's Riverdale and because it's like, you gotta add in all this woke stuff, they're like, but don't worry, we're still a part of the, like part of the alphabet community. And I was like, really? Like, okay, like, was that necessary? Did you have to put that in there? I guess that was just for all the fans that like wanted that kind of stuff, so they're not like super upset. But I don't know. It's just weird that they felt to me it was weird that they felt that they had to add that. But then yeah, like I said, they tell like all of Riverdale is getting phone calls about this bomb that happened. And then I don't know how they keep doing this with each new season or episode, but like there's always just like actual lines of dialogue in this like show that I'm like, there is no way someone legitimately wrote this. Like someone actually sat down and wrote this for people to say in a show. But Cheryl's like goes up to her grandma and was like, that curse you put on me, or that curse that I had done or whatever happened in like, I forgot what happened. I think it was in the last season. She was like, was that curse for realsies? Was it for, like, she legitimately says, was that for realsies? Like, and curse in the same sentence to her like, grandmother, to her 120-year-old grandmother. It was insane. And then she mentioned something about like getting a book, and then like she's like, or I don't know, because she wrote it, I guess, in her notebook. Then her grandmother like burned the notebook or something. So she's like, so Cheryl's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the library now because they have spells and shit on this shit and magic. And I'm like, just sitting there like, okay, is this actually like legitimately, like someone actually like legitimately wrote this as a plot for the show so far? And then it cuts to like the hospital. Archie and his dad are like, not Archie and his dad, Archie and the uncle are there, and I was like, what is happening? And then I totally forgot that the dog was whatever. And then the nurse, I guess the vet nurse or whatever, came out and was like, the dog broke all four of its, like, I thought it was just gonna be like, oh yeah, like, obviously the dog's heavily injured, but like, whatever, or maybe it's like blind, or maybe Maybe he needs like crutches, or not crutches, like needs wheels or whatever. The vet lady comes and instead of just being like, no, not one, not two, not three, but all four of the dog's legs are broken. And it's like, I'm like, holy Jesus, he can't even use like any of his legs? God damn. That sucks. And then we cut to Jughead. There's little like scenes. I think there's one scene where like a bell, he hits he doesn't notice that there's like a bell went off. And then there's like some other scenes where like you hear like that kind of like muffled sound, like when you get hit with a flashbang, right? That like zzz, that like white noise type of thing. You hear that from like his point of view. So you're just sitting there like, oh, I guess, is he going deaf? Like, what's happening? And my first thought was like, oh, it's like the devil curse from like episodes 1 to 5 of this season, like carrying over kind of to this new season, I guess, right? Season 6. And I was like, what is happening? Then it's revealed later that there's the Ghoulies get a new leader. And I should have wrote down the name, but it's one of those like jingle jangle type, completely made up like 100% bullshit. Like, really, like this is a real person's name. It was like Tinky Tinsley's or something, some really weird like alliteration name that like Stan Lee would use because he can't remember all the superhero names that he wrote down, right? Like Peter Parker and all that. And then Cheryl was just saying some shit. I don't know. She got a whole bunch of like dolls or whatever. And she's talking to Britta, I guess is her name. She's talking to her, and like I literally wrote down like, man, she's so annoying. I forgot how annoying she is, and like literally the first 10-15 minutes of the show, and I'm like, yeah, she's annoying. I've had enough. And then I literally wrote like, is magic real? Like at this point, I'm starting to question. I'm like, what is happening? I know Cheryl's like crazy. She's starting to believe the shit. So that's what's happening. She's starting to believe that. And then yeah, at this point too, they're all asking questions, and apparently, it's revealed to Archie. They didn't even go downstairs. Like it's revealed later. I think I forgot who they're talking to, but I can't remember if Archie's talking to Betty or something. But it's revealed, and he mentions that like they didn't even leave or go downstairs. They were actually in the same room, right where the bomb went off. And everyone's all like, well, how is this possible? What's happening? I don't know. I just jumped. Archie's just like, I just jumped over top of you to protect you. And like the whole, like I said, the whole house is destroyed. That upstairs room is just completely destroyed. So you're like, okay, how's that even possible? What's happening? And then, but if you knew if you're the audience like us, we know that like the narrator, right, Jughead saved them. So I guess instead of writing actually somewhat plausible, like, okay, yeah, maybe they could have gotten downstairs in time or something. Like Jughead's literally just writing like bullshit at this point of like, they survived because Archie went over top of him, and they somehow survived. I think at this point, and then it cuts to like Betty. She's in like the hospital or something, I think. Oh yeah, because I think this whole part, her mom is like, you need to go to the hospital, but they literally don't even have a scratch on them. They're like, no, I'm fine, whatever. But I think Betty's mom ends up like taking her to the hospital anyway. But as they're leaving the hospital, there's just some random janitor guy in the hospital walking around, and Betty like looks at him, but then you can see like this red aura around this dude, and you're like, what is going on? And then she's looking at him, and like, like she's noticing something off, like there's a red weird aura around him, and then he leaves, and then she's like, oh, okay, that was weird. And at this point, I was like, are they really doing what I think they're doing? Are they really about to just like have superpowers? Like what is happening? It cuts to Jughead in his story. The Wallbeat Journal wants to run Jughead's story, I guess of the bomb. I guess because he wrote it and pitched it to people, and then they were calling him or whatever. And then he's like, all right, I guess I'll take it or whatever. Then it cuts to Archie, he's working out and shit, shirtless, because they have to get that quota of, we need 40 fucking minutes. We need, out of this 42-minute episodes, right? We need to have at least X number of minutes devoted to just Archie shirtless or whatever. But yeah, he's working out, and then he goes on the scale, and he's like, weighing himself, and then he's confused because he's like, what? And then he's like pushing the scale up, and then he goes to like the far end, and obviously implying he's gained weight or whatever, even though he like looks exactly the same. And then he looks at like the I guess he keeps track of his weight for whatever reason. I don't know, because I guess he's just doing that, just in case he ever has to like fight one-on-one with whoever the fuck. But yeah, he's like, apparently he was like 160, now he's like 190. He gained like 30 pounds in 1 week or something crazy like that. So you're just like, oh, what is happening? And then it cuts to like Betty. I think she's in the FBI something in the place. And someone mentions that there is a nurse at that hospital that she was at that got her throat slit like 2 weeks ago or something. And then Betty's like thinking, and she's like, oh, it's probably that Red Aura guy. Oh yeah, and then Glenn's alive. I completely forgot about that because he dies in like the weird mini part event. But yeah, he's alive. He walks in, and then because of the whole bomb thing, I guess, and everyone knows it was Hiram. Hiram is now the most wanted person, I guess, by the FBI. I don't know if in the world, but at least in the U.S. by the FBI. So he gets put on the FBI list. And Veronica's really pissed about this. She decides to put a hit on her dad because he crossed a line about trying to kill Archie and Betty. Which, I mean, it is true, I guess. There's that point of direct murder, even though he's tried to do that in the past, like, several times. This one with the bomb is like, she's like, nah, that's end of the line. And then Glenn goes to... cuts back to, like, Glenn coming back from a party, I guess, and then Betty's there. They were dating at one point, I guess, because they mentioned something about that. And then Glenn tries to make a move on her or whatever. And then, he doesn't take... And then she's saying, like, no, and then he doesn't take no for an answer. He tries to, I guess, make a move or, kind of force it on her type of thing. And then she just goes up and straight up, like, punches him in the face. Just straight punches him in the face. And I was like, nah, I'm woman, hear me roar type of thing. And then a red glow appears around Glenn, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that was just there to show that, like, she has these powers of, like, bad, I guess this person's a bad person with the red glow around them, right? So Reggie, and then it cuts back to Veronica. So Reggie calls Veronica. His dad is in the hospital. Which at this point I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of like how it was in Riverdale, right? Where there was like, I think that also happens where his dad goes in the hospital, I think, because of a heart attack or something. I think that's what's mentioned. And yeah, it comes back to Tony and Fang's storyline. And then they are like, let's just make friends with the new ghoulies. So I guess she invites the new ghoulie leader to come there and fucking make peace, I guess, or whatever. And then it's revealed that Hiram, like, hired her to come here to be the leader, and then she has two only rules, or, like, I guess, plans that she wants to do. One, destroy Riverdale, which is like, okay, why? Like, you also live in Riverdale, you realize this, right? Usually you want to, like, take over or rule the land, right? They'd be like me moving to, like, I don't know, moving to, like, Mexico and being like, I came here, and, like, moving to Mexico and, like, moving there for, like, the rest of my life, and then just being like, I'm going to ruin Mexico and destroy it. And you're like, what? But you also live here. Okay. And then her second one is kill Archie, which is like, okay. I understand he's annoying as shit and he takes his shirt off all the time, but alright. And then it cuts back to Archie's thing, and he, like, his shirt gets scratched in a door, and it cuts his shirt open, and it's like a pretty big gap, but like there's no like bleeding or whatever, anything on it. So he's like, oh, what? And then he tries to like hurt himself with like nails or whatever, and it's revealed, and he like has no scratches. He can't get scratched, can't get like bled or hurt. I guess I don't know if things hurt him. I don't know if like you hit him with a hammer it would hurt him or not. But he can't like bleed. He can't like get cut or scratched. So like at this point, it's like, okay, yeah, like they're doing superpowers. Like I know that they're owned by like, or were they owned by WB? I don't know if they still are, but I know that like the Archie comics, like the actual comics, right, is also like part of WB, because like they also have like sometimes they do like Superman or like stuff like that, crossovers with other like DC type of stuff. So it's like, I don't know, does everyone have superpowers now? Like what is happening? Why are they getting superpowers? Why is this the plot that the writers want to go down? like are they gonna show up in the new? Are they gonna show up in like the new Justice League movie? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they just show up in like the Flash, like the new Flash DC movie that's gonna come out, like that's like Flashpoint or whatever. So yeah, then it cuts back to Betty, and then it's Glenn is spreading rumors about her or something, about like telling lies about basically about how that night went down the other night, where she refused him and then punched him. And then, oh yeah, I knew this immediately. Like I knew immediately as soon as he found out, or as soon as he was like, oh, like I can't get hurt, I can't get scratched or bruised or whatever, that he was like immediately gonna go back to being fucking Batman now. Except I guess now he's Captain America. He's just like, like I knew immediately that he was gonna like do this, and like, so he immediately goes, finds the ghoulies and decides to go fucking fight them, and it's like, really? And it's just like one of them versus like 30 of them or whatever. At this point, it cuts back to Veronica. I think Reggie was trying to convince her to not call off the hit because his dad was in the hospital, and the whole like, if I had more time with my dad or whatever, and then so she kind of has a change of heart, but it's like, why would you do that in the first place, to put a hit out on your dad anyway? So she tries to go call the mobster back to cancel, but he's already done it, apparently. He's already killed Hiram. And then she's like, what? No, that can't be true. And then I guess like the mobsters send her pictures of him, because she like looks at them and gasps. And like they don't ever show it though. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he's like, I was just like, wait, is he actually dead? I don't think he's actually dead, because if you know any rule, the number one rule of like almost any movie or like TV show, if it's like an off-screen death, right? Like they usually aren't actually dead, right? They most likely will make a comeback, or they, like unless you actually show it on screen where a person gets shot or a person gets hit or whatever, right? If they don't actually show it, usually it's like, okay, yeah, they're probably still alive or something. So that's what I was thinking the whole time when that happened. And then after this, Betty goes to confront the weird nurse guy with the aura glow type of thing. Oh yeah, because before this, Betty tells like one of the FBI girls to take a look at him at the nurse at that hospital for the nurse being killed or whatever. And then the same FBI agent comes later and is like, yeah, you're right. He's kind of weird. He's gotten like, he's always been fired or whatever. Always done all this, he's always been fired from his job. He's never been like at a job for more than like 2 weeks or something. And he's got a whole bunch of like felony charges on him or whatever. And I'm like, does no one do like background checks when they're like hiring this guy to work in a hospital where you're taking care for people? But yeah, so it cuts to Betty confronting this guy. And he still has the red glow around him. And then he's like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? And then she's like, I don't know how she found out about this. I guess she just, she's just Batman. She's really good at sleuthing or whatever. And then she's basically just like, you were stealing the vitamins or whatever, and that nurse found out, so you had to kill her. And then he's like, oh. He's getting all upset, and then you see him like grab a knife or something from like one of his hands and grasping it. And you're like, oh, is something gonna happen? And then you just see a hand grab out of nowhere, and then Archie's there for some reason, and grabs him from behind, and then he's like, I wouldn't do that unless you wanted me to snap both your arms. And then Betty just goes like, he'll actually do it, and it's like, okay. Like what's happening now? Is Archie Superman? Is Archie like Superman now, and like Betty's Batman because she's like detective, right? And Archie like can't get hurt because also right after the Archie 1v30 fight, he's all like bloodied and comes back to his like, I guess, ring, his little like his one of his 100 jobs in Riverdale where he has that gym, and then like Betty's there and she's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Don't worry, it's not my blood. I don't have any scratches on me at all or any bruises. This is all other people's blood. I'm like, holy Jesus. So at this point I'm just like, okay, so they all have like superpowers now for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know where they're going with this story. I don't know why they decided to go down this path, right? This pathway. But I was also just thinking of how Jughead got like the shit end of the deal. Jughead got the shit end of the stick. Like his power is that he's deaf. Like fucking Betty got weird being able to see if people are bad with the aura glow. Archie got fucking invincibility, and then Jughead's just fucking deaf. He just can't hear. Like that's great. That's hilarious. And then we cut back to like what are their names? We cut back to like Cheryl and Britta and like the and like the old lady or whatever. And I don't know, she's trying to like reverse the thing with some sort of anti-curse or whatever. She's trying to like reverse the curse, I guess, whatever that happened to them. So she's like, I'm gonna do an anti-curse or whatever, but she has these candles, and then like they keep getting blown out at the end of the night, and then so she's gonna like confront whoever's doing it, and then it's revealed it's Britta doing it, but then somehow like Cheryl's like, no, it's actually what's her name? It's actually Abigail. So somehow Abigail flew into the body of Britta. So Abigail's inhabiting that now. And I guess that confirms that, like, was it that whole Abigail, Cheryl, 3 different Cheryls from 3 different timelines thing was actually true and is a real thing. And then she goes to Nana, the grandmother, and she's like, explain what we have to do. And then this is another line that I'm like, really? Was this actually a line in the thing? Cheryl goes, must we perform an exorcism? And the grandma's like, no, we can't do that. No, not that. We need to, nothing like that. Nothing of the sort. We need to perform a banishment. And then I was just like, wait, isn't that just the same thing? Just different wording? Isn't that literally just the same thing, but just a different way of saying it? That's like me being like, no, I never said no. I said never. And you're like, what? Okay. It's like basically the same thing. It cuts back to Betty. She's in the FBI place. And it's only all women. It's all women there. And then Glenn comes down from, like, I guess from the staircase. And she basically goes up to Glenn and tells him to, like, fuck off, essentially. She, like, is basically just... She essentially tells him to fuck off. She tells him that, like... She tells him that she kicked all the guys off of the thing, and it's all just the women now. and then he's been transferred to another area or something, and then also he's under investigation for, I guess, sexual harassment or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, like when I was thinking about this, and I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to do that to Glenn, right? I mean, because he, obviously we had that thing that happened to him, but I was like, did you really need to like get rid of all the men? And then the FBI thing, I'm surely not all of them were fucking assholes, right? Like at that point, you just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? And then it cuts back to Jughead's storyline, and comes back from the hospital and talks to Tabitha. He just comes back and he's basically just like, I'm deaf or something like that. He's like, it's not good. And then she starts talking, and then Jughead's like, I can't hear you at all. Like I'm like 100% deaf in the left ear and like 78% deaf in my other ear. And I was like, holy crap, that happened in like, usually it takes like, I don't know, multiple decades, but it's like, took him like 4 days just to lose all hearing. And like, that's what I was saying with like, his superpower is just like, I'm deaf. And everyone else, Archie got fucking invincibility. Betty can see auras, and he's just like, I'm deaf. I can't hear properly now. And then Veronica's at home, and then Reggie comes to her, and then she asks him if he's okay, and then apparently he's gonna make a recovery. It seems to be going good. And then, before she was crying, and then she decides to like not tell him the truth. And she's just basically like, oh, I was able to call it off. And then Reggie's like, oh, thank God. And that's it. And then at this point, I still don't know. I'm like, wait, is he still dead? I'm like, is Harm dead or is he still alive? Like, I don't know what's happening here. Yeah, it cuts back to Cheryl's storyline, and they're in the middle of doing an actual exorcism, I guess. Banishment, exorcism, I don't know, same difference. And I guess it works. They do this whole thing with candles and whatever, and saying Latin stuff or whatever. And then at this point, I'm like, okay, so does that mean that they're not going to have superpowers anymore? I'm like, are they not going to have superpowers anymore? Are they like... Because like, I still don't really know if it's like... I guess it could be a combination of all of it, or just like... Because it's either like Jughead wrote that as just a way for them to survive, right? Because he's the writer now, the Jughead writer dude, or it's like this weird curse that Cheryl put them on, or it's the fact that in this universe, in this this plot line, you can get superpowers. You can get superpowers if you survive like a 1970s Batman time bomb. You can somehow survive that. If you can somehow survive, you're good. You can get powers, because it's also revealed that, like, I'm not sure if I wrote this anywhere here. Oh yeah, no, it's a little bit later, but yeah, I guess I'll save it for later. The ghoulies call Tony while they're working and declares war because of Archie, because Archie decided to go beat him up, and I guess the ghoulie woman wasn't even there, so she decides to declare war against the serpents. And then it cuts to Glenn leaving, I guess, the FBI. He has like his box. He has like his box of like retirement or whatever, or leaving. And then he's just like looking at the ground. And then as the elevator is coming down, it cuts to like it coming down. And then he looks up, and Archie's just fucking there. And he's like, oh no. And then Archie goes like, oh yeah. And he just comes at him. I guess he's gonna go beat him up too. I don't. No. Okay. I guess that's a thing too. He's just he's Moon Knight, I guess now. He's Batman. And then we go back to the Cheryl timeline, and it's actually revealed that it wasn't actually an exorcism. The grandma's there, and then she's referring to Cheryl as Abigail because Cheryl's blowing out the candles or whatever. So it was actually a double cross. They were going to banish her, but then Nana's like, good thing I said these good thing I remembered these Latin, this double cross Latin words, so I can put Abigail's spirit into Cheryl instead. So now Cheryl isn't even Cheryl anymore. She's just Abigail, I guess, now. Which also is similar to what happened in Riverdale. And then at this point I'm like, okay, so I guess the superpower... And then at this point too, I'm like, okay, I guess the superpowers then are staying because this is happening. But yeah, I have been noticing some similarities between Riverdale and then Riverdale. So it's like, I guess some things are... Because I do remember, I think when I remember reading or we were talking about at one point, like they said that like they might keep some of the stuff that like happened in the 5-part episode or a 5-episode event, that some of that might actually carry into Riverdale. So it's like, I wonder if like, because there was the whole like, Abigail going into Cheryl, there was the what was it, Reggie's dad going to the hospital and possibly dying. So I'm like, okay, so I wonder if some events, and then also Tony and Fangs getting together and being a couple or a thing, and like having a baby. So it's like, okay, so I guess certain things copied from that, or certain things that had happened in there are going to happen in here as well, are going to happen in Riverdale as well in this universe at some point. So I'm like, oh, okay. They're trying to like... Because, yeah, I remember hearing something or reading something along the lines of like, yeah, they're going to use some of the stuff that happened there and then also put it into this. And then, yeah, so it goes to Tony and Fangs. And they decide to give Kevin their baby for safekeeping, I guess. For apparently he's their best defense to hold on to, and I'm like, really? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys would be way more capable than him. You guys are actually like combat trained, and he's just like some dude that wants to be like a Broadway person. Like, and like, why not give him to the serpents? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure you gotta have like competent serpents that would be able to handle that. Like, I feel like that's probably like one of your worst options would be to give the baby to Kevin. Like what is he gonna do? And it's not like, oh, and I guess that also was a similar thing that happened in the 5-part event where they gave the baby to someone else to protect, or to the serpents, and then so La Llorona wouldn't be able to get to her, but this also isn't. This is Riverdale now. There's no La Llorona. There's no evil, weird magic demon thing that's gonna like, you can just give it to the ghoulies, or not ghoulies, give it to the serpents, right? Someone that's more capable. Why not give it to Kevin's dad? He's a sheriff. Like, why are you giving it to Kevin? I just don't understand, because it's like, what is he gonna do? Like, sing them to death as they're coming to court him with knives, and they're gonna like, threaten to kill him to get the baby. He's just gonna be singing like Hamilton or something to try to get them to stop. Like, I don't understand why they're all like, yeah, this will work, right? This will somehow work. This will be a thing. I just don't understand that. I don't know. Like, you have an army of serpents. You could just give them to like 3 of them to like hold for now. I don't know. Oh yeah, and that cuts to like Archie. He ends up buying his old house because someone wanted to buy it, but then he's like, okay, I'm gonna buy it for my mom instead, even though it's like completely destroyed or whatever. So I guess he's got to like fix it and all that. And then Veronica gets a call from her sister, which I just fucking hate her name, or Mona or whatever her name is. She just like, and then her sister basically warns her. She's like, you shouldn't have fucking killed Dad. Shouldn't have killed Poppy. And now you're marked. And I'm like, okay, well, now she's got a hit on her now. And I'm like, okay. I mean, you lost your dad, and now you're going to like, you crossed the line, and now you're going to cross the line too and be like, I'm gonna put a hit on you, and then now, so not only are you gonna lose your dad, but you might lose your sister as well now too. And it's like, okay. I mean, your father was just a bad man, so it's like I don't know. Yeah, and then at this point too, because she had called, because her sister had called her, I'm like, okay, well, I guess he is actually dead because she heard about it too now. I'm still kind of a little bit unsure, but I think he might actually be truly dead. So I'm like, wow, it's kind of weird that they decided to like just off like the big bad, like completely kill off the big bad of Riverdale for probably the past, 5 seasons, right? He's just always been there as kind of like the marionette in the background, right? Scheming, and he's always the kind of like, he's always the guy like at the very end, kind of, he's always the guy plotting everything, being like the Lex Luthor of the thing, and like, being like 5 steps ahead of everyone, and like he's the one that's like, gotten Riverdale into all this shit, and he's kind of like the orchestra. He's kind of like the one that's orchestrated all the things, and then he just dies like off screen in an off screen death by a hitman, and it's like you don't even see anything, like there's no body pictures or anything. But I think it might actually be true, because of all that. I'm still like 25% sure, maybe not. But I think also I do remember hearing something along the lines of like the actor that plays Hiram doesn't want to be in the show anymore. So like the last season was like his last season of doing it. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of unfortunate. That kind of sucks a little. That they ended off his character that way. Like I don't know. It's kind of like unsatisfying. Like they could have done it like, I don't know, in sort of any other way. Especially with like this big, like I said, the big bad of like the past 5 seasons, and he's just like, he's kind of like just killed off screen. Like, okay, they could do like what's it called, like the Reggie thing from season 1, where season 1 Reggie is like completely different, or like a couple episodes of season 1 Reggie is a completely different actor to like the Reggie that is played now. They could just do that and say like he got plastic surgery and change his face, and then use that as an excuse to just have a different actor play Hiram. But I don't know, that's my thing. Oh yeah, and this is the thing that I wanted to mention, but so they go to the hospital, and apparently Bingo the dog is completely healed after 3 days. All 4 of his broken legs are just completely healed, and he's completely fine, and he can actually just walk out of there. He doesn't even need a cast or anything. And I'm like, okay, so is the dog superpowered now? Is this truly Superman now? With, Archie being Superman and the dog being, Bingo being Crypto, right? Crypto the dog. Superman's like sidekick dog thing. So I guess everyone in this universe, like I said, so in this universe, you can get superpowers by, as long as you detonate a tiny 1970s Batman bomb, and then it detonates like a missile strike, like a missile strike radius, and then everyone who survives in there gets superpowers, right? Whether you're a dog, like if you're, the dog has, I guess he has healing factor, or you can you can heal really quickly. Archie with the, being invincible and not getting scratched or whatever, and then Betty seeing bad auras, and then Jughead being blind, or not blind, Jughead being deaf. There's a little bit of risk there, right? There's about a 1 in 4 chance, right? A 25% chance of getting a shitty superpower, of either being deaf or, I don't know, like not having your legs work or something. Or being able to see the night, right? Like having a shitty superpower. The other 3 out of the 4 times, you might actually get like a good superpower or a useful one. I just think it's funny how Jughead like just gets the shit end of the stick. It's funny to me. And then we get to the end of the thing, and it ends off by Glenn getting into his car, I guess, after getting beat up by Archie Andrews. And he gets out of the Pop chocolate shop, gets into his car, and then it's revealed, and then fucking I was like, okay, what's happening here? And then like the trash bag killer pops out of the back of his seat, and he's like, wags his finger, and he's like, you shouldn't have done that to Betty. And then like grabs a, I guess as his name suits him, right, a trash bag, and like tries to suffocate him by, because he's behind him, so he's like strangling him from behind. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess the trash bag killer is in Riverdale. And also he has like his dumbass stupid mask, which I guess is supposed to look like a trash bag. It looks like mud or something wrapped around his face. Like, it looks so weird. And like, I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess he's just killing him. But it's like, it's not even like he's doing it like, it's not even like it's Batman, right? Like the movie where like he's doing it out of a weird, at night in this weird back alley. It's just like, no, he's doing it like outside of the chocolate shop in his own car. Like literally anyone could walk by there. Like, it's not like it's a not populated area, like a garbage bin side street. It's like, no, it's literally right out front of the chocolate shop, which is like this bright neon colored fucking thing. And like, I'm like, okay, and like no one's gonna see this. There's not gonna be like a family walking by and being like, hey, look, there's some guy getting strangled by some other guy with a bag on his head. So he's just outright killing him there. And then it just cuts off, like, he's being killed. I don't know if it's going to be like he is dead or he's just being killed. Or, like, we don't know yet. And one thing that I thought that was weird, like, he somehow knows what he did to Betty or like, what he tried to do to Betty, because the trash bag killer is like, you shouldn't have disrespected Betty like that. And it's like, wait, he knew? How? Was he like in the room? Is this gonna be like a fucking Reverse Flash type of thing where it's like, it's revealed at the end of at the end of Riverdale that like the trash bag killer was just hanging out. Like, it goes scene by scene, and you actually, like, the trash bag killer was actually there in each and every single scene, just in the background. He's literally hiding in trash. Like, that's what he does. Because he's a trash bag killer, right? Because he's the trash bag killer, right? He's just like hiding in a trash bin. That's how he's able to know all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, how does he know this? Because like, I think she only told the FBI, or she did tell Archie, but she told like the FBI people. So maybe is this someone in the FBI? Were they in the same room, or just somehow word got out, and he somehow knows, and he's for some reason. The trash bag guy is keeping tabs on Betty. Even though also like the trash bag guy tried to kill Betty too. Because like she was trapped by him at one point. I remember I think that was a plot line at one point. So it's like, wait, you're gonna kill Glenn and not kill the one that got away, Betty? But okay. And I think that's also another similarity to like the multiverse thing. The the 5 episode mini event was that like the trash bag guy or like Glenn dies, right? Like or Betty, but it's like Betty kills him, but like he is pretending to be the trash bag killer, and then Betty takes off the mask and it's Glenn as the trash bag guy, and then she stabs him, but he also dies in the universe too. So it's like, so yeah, I'm like okay. Not everything that's obviously there isn't like a La Llorona, I don't know how to pronounce it. That weird Spanish ghost thing. There isn't like an actual Lucifer devil guy, but there is like, some things picked here and there from the 5 mini event episode that kind of carried over to the main Riverdale universe, right? Like the Tony and Fangs getting together. Glenn possibly dying, right? That was also like how it was in the multiverse. Reggie's dad going to the hospital, right? And then the whole Cheryl thing with the 3 different Cheryls and Abigail and whatever, and switching souls or souls going into Cheryl or whatever. So it's like, I wonder what more is going to come from that thing. Not that I remember too much about it, but yeah, I don't know. And then yeah, that's it for that episode for season 6, episode 6. My solo episode podcast, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know where they plan to go from here. I don't really know. Like, I honestly, I keep saying this every single season, like, episode, but it's like, it just keeps coming. I don't know how they keep blowing my mind, but it's like, I don't know, like, who the fuck is writing this shit, and like how, like, they just keep coming with more and more wacky stuff. Like, honestly, I was not expecting this at all. I had no idea what to expect. I was like, really? They're just gonna go do this, I guess? Like, okay. It's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why? Everyone just has superpowers now? Like, what is happening? Why are they doing this? It's funny, like, in the previous seasons where they kind of alluded to magic with the Gargoyle King, but then it's like, no, it's just like the weird hallucinogen, or it's the weird, like, game that they're playing or whatever with hallucinogens or whatever. Oh, is there aliens, right, with the Mothman? Oh, no, it's not. It's just weird family of serial killers or whatever. But then here they're just like, magic. No, magic. Magic's real, and they have superpowers now too. They're superpowered. Archie can't get hurt. Jacob's deaf. Cheryl has magic. I guess magic's real, and curses are real, and spells are real. And Abigail's is inside, inhabiting Cheryl's body now. And Nana's fine with that. I guess Cheryl isn't a person anymore. It's just like, okay. Like, where, like, I don't know where they plan to go. But yeah, that was it for this episode 6, getting back into Riverdale, our favorite show, our favorite show of all time throughout all of history. The best one. It's better than Breaking Bad, better than Game of Thrones. Like, legit people probably just, like, their asses write this shit. Right? They give monkeys, like, hallucinogens, and then the monkeys write this shit. Like, it's so crazy. But I would honestly expect nothing less, because that's how insane and crazy and wacky this show is. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this solo episode. Let me know if you guys want more of this, or do you guys prefer more of, like, this type of just me, or if you guys want, like, both of us again. I just felt like doing it because I don't want to, like, get behind again and do it, like, be like a month or so behind. I just kind of want to, like, be kind of at least on stay up to date, I guess, at least of, like, the same week at least, right? So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will do the next episode 7 hopefully sometime this week before the next episode comes out. That's gonna be crazy and wacky, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. Sometimes we play some games on my Twitch. It's just Breely1234. Sometimes we stream on, like, on my friend's PlayStation, and that's the 3GGs. You guys, I guess, obviously subscribe here if you want to, leave a like if you guys enjoyed. And then, yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter, I guess, too, if you guys want to. It's just Brelu, or it's Nari Brelu, I think. But yeah, if you just type in Brelu, you'll probably find it. But yeah, I mean, I just post, I just tweet and post stupid shit. But yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys on whatever I post next. Peace.